Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Weather with Simeon again. I hope you guys are all having a great day. I am very sorry I haven't been doing a video for the past couple of months, but we are finally back now to be doing more weather videos. And I know you guys don't see my face as of right now, but that's because my camera is broken. I'm not sure why it's broken. I'm not really sure why it stopped working, but we'll figure that out pretty much in the next couple of weeks, and my face should eventually be on. But like I said, I am finally back now. We're going to be starting off the first day of June and likely continuing to do more updates on the weather. So let's go ahead and first start off with the severe weather threat for today, and we're going to go ahead and first take a look at what we can expect for today. And as you can see, we do certainly have a enhanced level 3 out of 5 threat. And enhanced is pretty much a level 3 out of 5 threat on the severe weather scale, and the enhanced risk is pretty much in this area right here. And the only city showing up is Dodge City, which is included in that enhanced risk of severe weather. But around that, we do also have a slight risk. That's a level 2 out of 5 threat for severe weather, right around that enhanced risk. And then we even got a marginal risk around that too as well, which does include Wichita back into Tulsa, Oklahoma, but in the slight risk, North Platte back into God or Goodland back into Amarillo is included in that slight risk. And this is just today's threat, okay? So it is a pretty big area we do have to watch for. And back over here towards Salt Lake City, we do have another marginal risk in effect. So we certainly do have a lot of areas we do need to keep an eye on today. And we even got another area back down here towards western Tennessee, back into northern Mississippi and Alabama. But as we go ahead and also take a look at the hazards, starting with the tornado threat, as you can see, we do have a 2% risk for tornadoes across this area right here. So not a very high tornado threat, but still high enough to where there could be a few tornadoes around. So if you do live in North Platte, back into Goodland, back into Dodge City, make sure you do have your tornado action plan in place. There's also another tornado threat down here, but we'll show you guys that in a second as we move farther down south. But as we also do look at the wind threat for today, okay, we do also have a 30% hatched risk for damaging winds. And because of the hatched risk, which mainly includes Dodge City, we could see some 75 mile per hour winds or greater. That's hurricane force winds or greater. So if you do live in that red area, which like I said does include Dodge City, make sure you do have ways to receive alerts for damaging winds. And now if we go ahead and look at the hail threat is a little bit higher up to the north, especially around northeast Colorado, back into northwest Kansas, back into southwest Nebraska will be the main area for large hail. And with this hatched risk that you see, that means there's a 10% risk of 2-inch hail or greater. So we certainly will need to be watching the hatched risk area right here pretty closely, but even around that will need to be watched too. And in that yellow color is a 15% risk of 1-inch hail or greater. But as we do move a little bit farther down to the south, as you can see for today, there is some more areas too as well. It turns out they did add a new slight risk across Houston back into Lake Charles in that area right there. And then we also got that slight risk going farther down to the south. And then we also got that marginal risk going into the Dixie Valley region back into western Tennessee. So we do still need to be watching these certain areas too as well. And for the tornado threat, like I said, there is a tornado threat down here to the south, pretty much in the Dixie Valley area, so across eastern Mississippi back into western Alabama and even the western panhandle of Florida could see a few tornadoes too as well. There's also another one back into Houston, pretty much on the coast, and then there's even another 2% risk for tornadoes across across southeast New Mexico back into southwest Texas. So we do need to be watching these 4 areas very closely for a few tornadoes today. So chances of a tornado, for my opinion, is pretty high, and that's because we do have a lot of areas that will need to be watched. And then for the wind threat, as you can see, just a regular 15% risk for damaging winds across Houston, Texas, back in the Lake Charles. We still got that 15% risk for damaging winds across that site risk over here, and then we even got that 5% risk for damaging winds going all the way up here towards extreme southern Kentucky. And then with the hail threat for today too as well, we do have a hatch risk for large hail across southeast New Mexico back into southwest Texas. These will be areas to watch for 2-inch hail too as well. And even back here into Houston and Lake Charles, we could also be talking some 2-inch hail or greater, but chances of that happening are lower, and that's because we don't have a hatched risk. But we could see at least some 1-inch hail in some areas. Now, that was pretty much today's threat, okay? Now for tomorrow's threat, as you can see, there is an enhanced risk up to the north, but there's also a slight risk farther down here to the south across Lubbock, Midland, back into St. Angelo, so certainly one area to be watching for. Tornado threat, there is a 2% risk for tornadoes up here to the north, and then for the wind threat, we do have a hatch risk for damaging winds up to the north too as well, so we could see some hurricane force winds in that same area too as well. But we also do have a 15% risk for damaging winds across San Angelo back into Midland, back into Lubbock, Texas. And then for the hail threat, we could see some 2-inch hail or greater across Lubbock, Midland, back into San Angelo, and because the hatched risk, 2-inch hail or greater is possible. And the reason why we weren't talking as much as day 2 is because we're mainly focusing on day 1. I'll give you guys a better detail on tomorrow's outlook as we do head into tomorrow. Now, if we go ahead and look at the excessive rainfall outlook, as you can see, we do have a moderate risk for flash flooding across the western panhandle of Florida. So pretty small, but still a pretty big threat. So we could be seeing some rainfall totals get up to 5 inches of rainfall in the western panhandle of Florida, but also Mobile, Alabama is also included in that moderate risk too as well. Then around that, we do have a slight risk for flash flooding. That's at least a 15% chance of flash flooding. And then we also do have another area that could see some flash flooding too as well for today, which is mainly across southern Kansas, back into western Oklahoma, back into eastern Texas, especially the panhandle. So certainly some areas that we do need to be watching for flooding the rest of today. And now, if we look at tomorrow's flood threat, as you can see, there is a marginal and as well as a slight risk for flash flooding across the plains back into the Midwest. But we also should be watching up here too as well, which also does have a marginal risk for flash flooding tomorrow. And then as we do head into Monday, okay, which will be after tomorrow, we do have a marginal risk heading from the Dallas-Fort Worth area back into Chicago, but we also got 2 more areas to be watching for too as well, which includes Seattle and back into Idaho. So certainly some more areas to watch closely too as well. And then as we head into day 4, another big area to watch for, and then same goes as we do head into day 5, which right now is very uncertain because we are heading quite some days out. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at the radar, okay, this goes 240 hours out, and starting with today, as you can see, we do have some showers and thunderstorms across this entire corridor right here. So this area does need to be watched for a couple of thunderstorms and as well as heavy rainfall, and that will mainly be north of that line, and then south of it we could be seeing some large hail and damaging winds with some of these storms already, because like I said in today's outlook, there was a hail risk down down here, and we even had a damaging wind and as well as a low tornado threat down here too as well. So we could be dealing with some large hail and as well as some damaging winds with these storms down there to the south. And then, like I said, north of that line we could be dealing with some rain and as well as some thunderstorms. But as we continue to take this forward, okay, as you can see, that system will head out, and then we're back in with some more potential severe weather pretty much across this entire corridor right here, which could be dealing with some severe weather as we do head into Tuesday. So certainly going to be some areas to be watching for, and not all of these areas will be dealing with severe weather, but we certainly do need to be watching all those areas for the potential of some thunderstorms. But as we continue to take this forward again, as you can see, some more scattered showers and thunderstorms possible throughout the day. And then as we do head into Thursday, as you can see, we will be seeing less in the way of thunderstorms out to the west, with more thunderstorms developing in the east. And then as that system heads out, we might be seeing another potential severe weather event across this area right here, which could be seeing a large hail and damaging wind threat by this point, which actually goes out to June 8th, so pretty much on Saturday, which won't be this Saturday, but next Saturday we could be dealing with some severe weather down here. And not all of these storms will be severe, but some of them could certainly be severe, so something to be watching for. And as that one finally heads out, we might need to be watching for some more severe weather events after that, but we are really head out, so take all of this with a grain of salt, please. But if we go ahead and look at the total precipitation, okay, it turns out we could be seeing some pretty high rainfall totals across portions here of the plains. Is pretty much from now all the way to June 11th. So if you do live in the plains, certainly going to be watching for some flooding and as well as some more severe weather as we do head into June 11th. But also back in the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and back through the Ohio Valley, we also could be seeing some decent amounts. Not as high, but still could be pretty beneficial by this point. So we do have some areas that we still need to be watching for. And like I said, this is from now all the way to June 11th. Now, if we go ahead and look at how the water temperatures have been doing, as you can see, we were in an El Nino, but during the last 30 days or so, we have been dropping down quite significantly. And as of right now, we are pretty much below that 0.0 line, so we are pretty much around the neutral phase. So if it's pretty much south of the plus 0.5 line, but north or above the minus 0.5 line, we are in a neutral phase. So as you can see, it's below this line but above this line, so that means we're in a neutral phase. But as soon as this blue line passes that line, then we will be in a La Nina. But as of right now, we're in a neutral phase because it hasn't passed this SARN line yet. But thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you guys have had a good year so far. I know I haven't done a video in a while, like I said, but I actually have been doing a few live streams, and I did do a summer forecast. So if you guys want to know how June is going to be looking this year, you guys can go ahead and watch my summer forecast, which, like I said, was a live stream. And if you want to watch that, go to the live stream page on my channel and click the summer forecast, which should be the latest live stream that I did. So if you want to watch that, you guys can watch that. But again, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will continue to do more videos.